All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are on page 59. If you decided you wanted to do the multiplying section, here is what your coordinates would look like for line L and line M. And then here are the lines L and M on the coordinate plane. And you can see that comparing and contrasting them is very similar to the rationale we went over in the classwork. And then predicting what another line would look like. So that's line C here on the coordinate plane. And if you're looking at which ones follow the rule, only the third one here, because they follow the rule. And then I just chose some easy numbers to complete the rule with. So these are two coordinates that would also fall on that line, whatever this line is. Okay. If you chose division, so if you chose page 60, here are the tables with the coordinates. So feel free to pause. And then here's what your two lines, line L and line M, look like. And here you can see the lines are parallel, but M is higher on the coordinate plane. Predicting what it would be, you would say it was lower. So notice how it's 2 lower because this is plus 1. It's not just x equals y, so it's going to be a little bit different when it's not going to be as close to the other two lines. The only coordinates that follow the rule are the first and second. The other ones, as you can see, the math doesn't work out. So you can see it takes a little bit of work to figure out two different coordinates, sets of coordinates, but 12, 8.5, 8, 5.5 would follow that rule for page 60. All right, we have one more kind of confusing, tougher, complex lesson, and then the next two are going to be pretty easy, you'll see. So we're on page 63. If you wanted to do some of the sprints just for practice, it's subtracting with decimals. Always good to try on your own. But page 63, we are continuing on, writing a rule that contains points 0, 3/4 and 2.5, 3 1/4. So over here up to the side, I've said, okay, 2.5 plus 3/4 is the same as saying 2 2/4, because 1/2 is 2/4, plus 3/4, so that's 2 5/4. 5/4 is an improper fraction. That's like saying 1 1/4. 1 1/4 plus 2 is 3 1/4. So to get from 2.5 to 3 1/4, we're adding 3/4. To get from 0 to 3/4, we're adding 3/4. So the rule is x plus 3/4 will give us y. So they said pick any points on the line. So I picked 1 1/4 because when you add 1/4 plus 3/4, it gives you a whole number. It gives you 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So my first coordinate will be at 1 1/4, 2. So if I go over, remember x first, 1 whole and then 1/4 over, and then 2 up. So that's here. Okay, so that's point B. Then point C, I picked another random one. I just picked 3 because when you add 3 plus 3 plus 3/4, you would get 3 3/4. So 3, 3 3/4. So over 3, and then up 3 3/4. So I'm going to go to 3, and then 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So this is point C. Now you might be wondering, what are these other 2 points? Well, these were the points from up here, the coordinates. 0, 3/4, so that's down here, over 0, up 3/4, 2.5 comma 3 1/4, over 2 1/2, so 1/4, 2/4, then up 3 1/4, so up to 3, and then 1/4. So those are the 4 points, the 2 that they give us, and then the 2 that I kind of created. As you can see, they make a nice straight line. Unfortunately, I don't know where I put my ruler, so right now I'm just gonna eyeball it. It's not like I could do it very well on the camera anyway, so I'm just gonna eyeball it, and it actually looks a lot better than when I try doing the ruler. But there's your straight line, okay? So what would be a rule for a line that is parallel to this one? But it has to go through point 1 comma 1/4. So over 1, up 1/4. So remember, we're not going to change the slope, so we're not going to multiply or divide. We can only add or subtract. Now, since this point is lower than the other lines, we must be subtracting. So what do we subtract from 1 to get to 1/4? Well, 1 is like saying 4 over 4, and I want to get to 1/4. So I'm going to subtract 3/4. So the rule is x minus 3/4 will give me my y-coordinate, because 1 is my x-coordinate, minus 3/4 gives me 1/4. So that's why it works. Notice how it doesn't say draw the line or do anything like that. We just use that point to determine that we are subtracting. Okay, create a rule for the line that contains points 1 1/4 and 3 comma 3/4. So how did I get from 1 to 1/4? Well, I could say subtract 3/4, but when I come over here and I say 3 comma 3/4, if I say 3 minus 3/4, I'm going to have a different number than 3/4. So minus 3/4 can't be the rule. So I'm going to look at both of these coordinates again. Well, I notice my x-coordinate is a numerator here, and it's over 4. So maybe I take my numerator and I divide it by 4. Or I take my x-coordinate and divide it by 4. Over here, my 3 is the x-coordinate. Oh look, 3 is on top as my numerator, and it's also over 4. So there's 2 ways you could say this. You could say x divided by 4 equals y, because you're dividing. Or you could say 1/4, the fraction, times x equals y. These are saying the same thing. X divided by 4 is the same as saying 1/4 times x. Okay? So, if we were in person, I would explain it a little bit more. Pick which way makes sense to you. So identify 2 more points on this line, draw the line on the grid. Okay? So, we have, I just picked 2 different x-coordinates. So I picked 2 and 4 because I can take 2 and put it over 4. 2 divided by 4 gives me 2/4. So 2/4. 2/4, remember, is the same as 1/2, but you can keep it like that. 2 comma 2/4. All right. Then I took 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 4 comma 2 would be my other coordinate. So I have over 2, up 2/4, so 1, 2. That's 2/4. Then I also have over 4, up 2. So right there. Okay. So that's my point G and my point H. Okay. Now, I also have my points 1 1/4, which you could put on here. So 1 and then up 1/4, which I actually have already, and then over 3, up 3/4. Oh, I made a mistake. 4 divided by 2 is 2, but I'm dividing by 4. So this is actually 1, and this is 1. So over 4, up 1. My line didn't line up. See, even teachers make mistakes. So always remember you're following the rule for every single coordinate. I'd use divided by 4 for point G, and then I didn't use the same rule when I did H. That's why my line didn't look right when I put it up over here. So always good to check yourself. So this time you can see my line is sloping pretty gradually between G and H. Okay? All right, so here we have our 2 lines. Then part B says, write a rule for a line that passes through the origin and lies between these 2 lines, so it can't touch them. So honestly, the easiest one, if you're gonna go right down the middle, is to say that x equals y. Because when x equals y, you go over 1, up 1. Over 2, up 2. And it will eventually cross, but if you just do like the first 3, you're gonna see that it's gonna split kind of right down. Okay? So x equals y will cut through the origin, so it'll cut through 0, 0, and it'll go between the other 2 lines. So this is for part 2B. I told you, it gets a little nuts. Fortunately for you guys, we are going to skip page 64. We are going to skip page 65. These are just more extensions on how to make all of these coordinate points. It gets a little complicated. So all I want you to do for your independent practice is page 66. Okay, exactly what we went over on the previous page. Okay, and then you can ignore 67. Okay, so we didn't do the problem sets on page 64 and 65, and we're not doing the homework set on page 67. You only have to do page 66 to kind of showcase this, because I know it gets really complicated, and even I made the mistake on the previous page. It just happens. Okay, so good luck, you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon.